Gag me with his spoon. I just listened to Valley Girl. The song is so awful. Like it's one thing, like if you were to be like, again, this is just some cheesy, you know, uh, novelty thing. Like, yeah, okay, but to ever be taken seriously, it's kind of like Lefty Gunplay winning a Grammy. Oh, he's a good free. I mean, I don't buy that guy's character. I just what a fucking what a shit stain. He's so fucking weird. I always find it strange that like when stupid seeming people are promoted, like how can you be stupid and be a good freestyler? You would think that would require mental capability. She rocks me. Oh man, I am so tired of the way things are. I can't fucking tell you guys. Me, being the bozo that I am. Bozo Williams! I am so. I'm like, totally for sure. I'm so sick of I don't know, just the people around me and the excuses and the. Like, I don't know, it was weird. My kid wasn't feeling good today. And it just brings up so many different things. Like as his parent, I, when he's like, please, Dad, I don't feel good. Please, like I don't, like he doesn't do that. And in most cases, if he was like, I don't want to go, and I was like, no, you gotta go, he'd get up and go. But there's a weird duality there because like, when it comes to me, I'm not the best on paper. I mean, my educational record isn't glamorous, and yet I have a really really incredible work ethic, right? And again like this dumbass, right? Who's going to say something? We could tell, right? Because you can spit out more facts about anything than I can. Like, so because of that work ethic, it enables me to read like I read and look into things like I look into and smash these stupid clowns who, just need attention. But the work ethic is also, combined with, when I was a kid, like I wanted to play Scrabble all the time because I knew I would beat you. Especially as an adult, I thought it was fantastic that a kid would beat an adult in Scrabble. I loved it. I loved, you know, showing the superiority. Well, why do they call them apartments? Why do you drive on the freeway and park, or drive on the parkway and park in the driveway? Yeah, we know. They're all the same. Blah, blah, blah. But I'm stupid because I don't know that shit. And I just, like, there's that part where you go, like, do I, like I was talking to him about champions. And of course, I don't bring up, like, Conor Benn and shit, but for the most part, you don't see a bunch of juniors in boxing. There's no Mike Tyson Jr., Lennox Lewis Jr. The juniors don't exist because to be a championship boxer, you really have to, you have to be willing to put your life on the line to escape a situation. And you know, when your situation is nice and cozy, like Champion, a famous Champion line, it's hard to get up and do road work, go running at 4 in the morning for 5 hours, for 5-10 miles, when you're sleeping in silk sheets. And that's why you see so many boxers, like when they make it and they finally get that big payday, they're not able to maintain their championship status because their life got easier. And it's strange because, my life was like incredibly fortunate in some regards, but then at the same time incredibly difficult. And so, like, I'm so sick of people coming up with reasons why, not having that same work ethic. And it is strange because, like, my bandmate, like, he's since he was smart enough to have the skill set of, computers and things like that. So he's basically always worked for himself. He doesn't have the work ethic I have. He doesn't have that that internal, I have to meet deadlines for other people, because he's always been the boss. And again, it's like, it's not a knock per se, because he was smart enough to be the boss. Algo is a great example of somebody that he doesn't have the prestigious background, but if you were to, hire somebody for a job, that'd be the guy to hire. Because not only would he do his job really well, he would make sure everybody else is doing their job. You know, work hard, play hard kind of situation. And that was always sort of the motto, the blueprint. But now it's if you're gonna do great things in the world, you either have to have people around you that share your same perspective, and if you're gonna be the guy, they have to see you as the guy. If they just see you as, some sort of burden or some sort of, wishy-washy whatever, well, they're not going to be able to support it like it was. That was a message in Rocky. Eye of the tiger. That was the message in Rocky. No, not Rocky 1. That was the message in Rocky I, where he learned the hard way. He got all rich and fluffy and lost his shit to hardworking Clubber Lang. Prediction: pain. It's so funny to think of like little bitty Sylvester Stallone and little bitty Mr. T being heavyweight championship boxers. Those guys are like 150 on their heaviest day, 180. But I get so frustrated, And like I say, you either have to have the team around you that shares in your vision, in your goal, or you have to do it by yourself. Because when you attach yourself to people, you attach yourself to their shit. And if they don't feel like doing the thing, well, and they're the person you have in that position, what can you do? You can't make people do things. I mean, you can, but then you're an asshole. But there's, it's like, if you want to make things better, you have to make them better. You have to literally start today. I'm going to start right now and start making things better. I'm not going to say, oh, well, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, well, I got my excuse this. Oh, well, that. Oh, well, this. And the worst thing you can do is set your own limitations. You know, I've told this story numerous times, but when I first started writing, you know, I believe that my best stuff came from depression. And I think that's sort of a universal concept. Like artist wise, starving artist, this then. Like either you're in love and it's a love that you either achieve and it's this fulfilling da da da, or it's the love you'll never get, which usually inspires the best songs. Um, you know, or it or it's hardships. You know, this is what, you know, the majority of things are about. The majority of songs that you hear are usually about heroin and shit, but they're about hardships. And so that thing in my, well, I write my best stuff when I'm depressed. If you believe that you do your best stuff when you're depressed, as a goal oriented human, as somebody that wants to achieve success, you believe that your best stuff comes when you're depressed. So you're going to do things to make you depressed so that you can produce your best. It's such a dysfunctional, fucked up cycle that, you know, we've been sort of tricked into. And when I realized at some point that it wasn't, had nothing to do with depression, that I'm just good at what I do and that I could write about anything, it was like this huge weight came off my shoulders. And I just was like, oh shit, I can do this. And I can write about, and it just fired off, right? It just started firing off. And I realized, like, wow, I can write a lot better stuff that has nothing to do with depression. Like I stand by the fact that I'd say 95% of our songs, 90%, they're positive songs. It's all positivity. It's all about making things better. You can only be better if you acknowledge the problem. And sometimes acknowledging the problem can be the difficult thing. I get it. But that's you know, that's how it gets better. I want things to be better. Okay, well, we need to acknowledge the stuff that has us right here so we can improve on it and make things better. No. It's weird. You know? I don't want to do it this way. I don't want to do that. I'm not this. I don't, you know, it's like, dude, just fucking do it. Just try it. See what happens. And it's crazy because I end up having to be like on my sharp. I have to be sharp as shit because even my wife and bandmate will team up against me to try to find me being wrong. That's how me being wrong is so important to people that they team up. Charles was saying I did something and it's never gone this way. And Ange was like, nope, he's right. It's never, ever happened. And it's like, bitch, you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. You haven't been involved in fucking 50% of the tracks. How would you ever even know? But right away, I was like, oh, yeah, well, what about this? There was this thing that just happened, blah, 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 blah. You said this. I said this happened, blah. And he was like, you're right. You got me on that one. You know, I have to be I have to have a mind that's like a steel, steel device used to capture things. Trap. If I don't, you know, I don't deal with people that. I mean, look at my feed, right? It's not people that are trying to get to the bottom of things and figure things out and make things better. It's people who are like listening intently so that if I say a word wrong or I get a number wrong or a date wrong or something, they're like, oh no, oh you said this. Remember when do you believe in do you believe in purgatory? Do you believe in purgatory? Do you believe in like you got it, you got it. I was misinformed. Like a lot of people, I was misinformed about something, and yeah, and I learned it. You didn't teach it to me. I just learned it. I went and looked it up because I don't mind being wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it's not like it's, hey, let's figure this out. Let's get to the bottom of it. It's just like, I got you. Like I'm so right all the time that it becomes this goal that you have to find something wrong. And I don't know why people always think that way. They have to find something wrong. They have to focus in on why it's not going to work. And in some situations, yeah, that can be valuable. Like if I'm like, hey, let's do this or that, and I present it to my wife, she's going to find what if the reason why it's not going to work. And that'll be something that you can focus on and be like, okay, let's prevent this once in a lifetime negative thing from happening, but let's make sure you can get something out of it. But at the end of the day, like it's strange how everybody seems programmed. If you're watching, don't forget to like, share, and sub. Help out. Apparently, the algorithm, blah, blah, blah. If you like it, share it, sub, that kind of shit, it helps. That's what they say, so whatever. I just think, if people were actually interested in fixing problems, religion definitely wouldn't exist, right? How could religion exist if people were interested in truth and interested in fixing? Because, there's no way that you look into the history and the whole thing and go, oh, here's a bunch of examples of how religion made things better. You'll find a bunch of examples of how it fucked things up. But it's like, if you're, the only way you can maintain the belief, the only way you can maintain the submission is stupidity. You just have to Look at these dumbass comments. Seriously. The fact that you've never seen anything like that before, you've never seen, the effort that goes into me, that should wake you up, man. Clearly, somebody doesn't want you thinking like I'm thinking. And considering, I got 9 people, 4 likes, 9 viewers, but it's not like I'm technically or seemingly any sort of threat to the situation. I got 9 people here. What would you even be worried about with a guy with 9 fucking people? But apparently, there's a lot of people that are worried and bothered. And a lot of times these same people will identify as Christians and shit, and you go, wow, you're clearly very Christian in your approach. But at the end of the day, Christianity, Islam, all of it, it's about pushing stupidity on you, making you into stupid. Stupid Goyim that does what he's told and doesn't question things and backs the situation they say to back and all that shit. If you're not willing to give up your children and say, okay, take my child and go get them killed, what use are you? What good are you? They're not going to find any value in you if you think that you're valuable. It's the thing isn't hard to figure out. Like, none of this is hard to figure out. With any of it, make it make sense. You know, if each one of these trolls was like somebody just happened to stumble across my feed, so they start talking shit. I guess, I guess that works. But when each one of these people is here day after day after day for hours and hours and hours, desperately trying to get other people not to watch me, what do you think that is? What do you think motivates that? It's the strangest, most telling, obvious thing to me. And it depends on what you're willing to see, the honesty that you're willing to put forth. Well, so many of you are so many of you are willing to believe that we're on a ball flying through space with literally no reason to believe it other than the pretty pictures you've been shown. And yet the idea that the group that you're not allowed to even talk about, who has disproportionate representation in every controlling aspect of our lives, that there's a conspiracy, that there is a group of people at the top who want to stay at the top and who want to keep things the way they are, keep the slaves working. And you're not willing to believe that. It's the strangest, like you're willing to believe in Sky Daddy impregnating the virgin, you know, the baby at 12 years old disappears and then reappears at 32, and the miracles like aspect of it is just fucking silly. And it gets crucified, and that's all because of your sins. He died for your sins. That the guilt trip from somebody died because of shit you did. Look at you're a piece of shit. Your life, your existence caused the death of someone else. Talk about a heavy fucking weight to put on people, especially children. And you think like of course if they didn't do that shit to children, they wouldn't be able to it wouldn't work. You know, the funniest thing is I've never met anyone who can give me who even attempts to answer the, you know, why are you a Christian question reasonably. Especially those that claim like, you know, they were an atheist and then they can't like you ask those people, especially knowing that they claim to have been an atheist. So as an atheist, that meant they were skeptical. And so you know that skeptical perspective, and you know that if somebody tells you something, you're going to, you know, if you tell somebody something, they're going to be skeptical, especially when it comes to that specific world. So if you're somebody that used to be super skeptical and you suddenly changed your mind, you can't be surprised when other really skeptical people want to know what the fuck happened. How did that change happen? That's a significant fucking change. And they never have an answer for you. They never have anything to say. You know, it's this strangest shit, man. When you look at this bullshit that they give you, and it doesn't make any sense, and really all you have to do is just look a little bit. You use that same skeptical nature to look into the thing that you believe in. I don't know, it's just weird. It's like, if I'm going to believe in something, if I'm going to say, okay, you know what? I belong to this group, and their book, their rule set is going to be the rule set that I follow, and this is I'm gonna identify as this from here on out. Yeah, maybe you're not going to know everything inside and out, but you should have a pretty good idea of what you're talking about. But it doesn't work that way. I mean, look at the comments. Look at how there's not a single person on here that's like, proud or knowledgeable or anything of their own. I would imagine most of these douchebags identify as Christian. How come all of these Christians are pieces of shit? Isn't it strange? None of them come in here and say, dude, you're wrong. This is the real because of this or that or this or that. They just start throwing out weird gay fantasies and, it's the strangest shit, man. And it's what it is whenever you deal with Christians. I've never in my life been impressed by a Christian, like by what they have to say. I've never had a conversation with a Christian where, you know, they even began to address any of the things reasonably. I've never had a conversation with a Christian where afterward I felt closer to it, or my atheism. I was skeptical. I was like, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe never. As a matter of fact, the only time I can there's a couple of times in my life that I can think of where I've had, you know, okay conversations with religious people. One time was with Johnny and Jackie, the people I talked about a few days ago, where we got dropped off in Northern California at 3 a.m. and we walked to their house. Johnny and I got into such a heated religious discussion that the neighbors had called the cops, and the cops showed up trying to figure out what was going on. Because Johnny was such a loud person and he was yelling so much at the things that I'm saying. And now this is only a 21, 22-year-old guy. 47-year-old guy would just demolish him. But that was once. And then literally the only time I've ever and this is actually the only time I've ever truly just had a religious discussion with people, and these were strangers, was the Jehovah's. And it's the weirdest story of the Jehovah's because, for years and years and years, I would chase the Jehovah's off the block. I would, like an asshole. Believe me, I regretted it. It feels like I feel stupid having done it. But they would come, and if I saw them, real quickly, we got put on the list of people who don't want to hear the good news. But if they were here, I'd go out and I'd be like, hey, let's talk, blah, 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 blah. And I'd, walk with them down the street and, why are you doing this? Especially black people, blah, blah, blah. Like I would try to go at it with them. And they would always walk and pretend like they couldn't hear me and shit and talk to each other like I wasn't talking to them. A really rude kind of shit, especially considering I'm questioning your thing. But I had them tell me at one point, like, they didn't want people that ask questions. And I said, you don't want people that question things, you just want obedient servants? And they were like, yes. They literally said that. But one day I decided, actually, it happened twice now that I think about it. One time this white dude was with a couple of the black guys, and he and I had a decent sort of back and forth, but it wasn't anything I don't remember much of it. It wasn't too enlightening or too imprinting on me, right? But I think it was like around a year later, the group came around, and it was one of the black families, like the one of the black dudes that I had already chased down the street before. And so when they came walking up, when I saw them, I had put a table out front, and I put chairs, and I put some waters, and I was like, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you." And they were like, "Well, you don't want to hear the good news." And I was like, "No, no, listen, I've had a lot go on in my life in these past few years, and I just want to talk. I promise I'm going to be respectful. I won't yell. I won't scream. I got chairs, table. I'm just trying to talk to you." And so they got this weird, confused look. And they're like, "All right, well, we have to finish knocking this street, but we'll see what happens." So they end up walking, next 3 or 4 houses, and they don't get any bites. So the clearly gay man, who was a couple of years older than me, and the younger, real dark-skinned black guy, like in his 2021, those two came back, and they're obviously you send the kid just in case, and they did come at first kind of like hesitant, and I couldn't blame them. But I think, relatively quickly they figured out, like, I had no nefarious purposes. I was literally just wanted to talk to them. And so they sat and talked with me for like 2.5 hours. And it was enlightening in that I didn't realize that they were that stupid. But it was like, I think they struggled with it too, because they just didn't have any answers, and the contradictions, and at one point a black man tells me, I said, "So you believe that all of the people in the world, black, Asian, Native American, that they all came from Arabs having sex, an Arabic family having sex with each other?" And he was like, "Well, you know what they say happens when relatives have sex, or relatives procreate." And I was like, are you serious? Like, you're a black man, and you're saying you think black people came from the inbred offspring of Arabs? And like, he couldn't get himself to like actually say those words, but it was just so strange. And the craziest part is that outside of what seems like targeted visits that you'll see on this street occasionally, they haven't been back. And this was years ago. They used to still come back every year, twice a year, when I would yell at them and shit. But when I opened my quote door to them, and we sat down and had a conversation, and by the end of it, they were all sort of topsy-turvy. I said, "Listen, not to be mean, but you guys clearly don't know, like, all of the stuff. You don't know this as well as you think you do. Is there any way you would have some people, some elders of yours that know this stuff better than you, come by and have the same conversation?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, for sure. We'll tell them, and they'll definitely want to come talk to you." Never heard from them again. But they were at least not be far too graphic, but these letters sent, they weren't the same cowards that I deal with on here, right? They weren't that same. They at least attempted, and they tried to express, like, they tried to show off that they knew stuff. It just didn't work out really well. But that's not what I see here. Like, look at how you see these crybabies that worship me, that literally come here every day for hours on end and pretend not to like me. Like you might not agree with it or like the idea of it, but you're a big fan. If you watch me every day, you're a big fan. And I think a lot of it is Israeli bots. But another portion of it are the Israeli, either operatives or just regular old Jewish people who are trying to get some points, trying to get a free TV, trying to get those badges unlocked. But especially everybody that's been here more than once, they know for a fact that my stated purpose was, and always will be that Goyim need to unite and overthrow the friar narrative by which we end up, killing pedophiles. Because if we overthrow the narrative that is in place that protects the pedophiles, then we kill them, right? I'm not saying that they're all out there raping children, but I am saying it's a pedophilia cult. And anybody that chooses to continue to be involved in that cult is identifying themselves as pedophile. And I know that,
at least condoning it.
again, like, it's weird because devil's advocate will always say stuff like that, but I'm not like misspeaking. I know exactly what I'm saying. And I don't see a difference between condoning pedophilia and pedophilia. I'm sorry.
Well, and condoning is a loose term because essentially knowing it exists but turning a blind eye is a form of condoning. Whether you're outwardly championing it and not participating or just turning a blind eye, it's all condoning it.
But more oftentimes than not, especially when it comes to the friars, they're not just turning a blind eye. They're violently, vehemently, angrily, wholeheartedly attacking the person that calls it out. You can't just say, "Oh well, I didn't, I wasn't aware. I know it happened, but I thought it was a small thing, and I just didn't." Well,
You
no,
just described most people that attend church. Oh yeah, I know it happens in the churches, but just small amount of
absolutely,
people.
I don't have an issue with that.
So they're
I've
not.
said it forever that if you're a Christian Catholic, you're a pedophile. It's just not as open. It's just not as bad, as severe. But
I think you almost take the disgracefulness away from pedophiles by lumping in the people that would never do it, but aren't actively.
okay. Well, I mean, if like, okay, I don't care. I don't care. I want you to feel that. I want you to know that. I want you to know that I don't see you as any different than someone that's actually attacking children. If you're not doing what you can, and I'm not saying like everybody needs to be out there doing what I'm doing, but if you're continuing to donate to your church, if you're not insisting that your church, you engage in church meetings or whatever it may be, you engage in church practices, whatever it may be, fundraisers and all that shit. Where do you draw that line? What do you say? Like, you are associate, like, I compare it to NAMBLA. You know, at what point is the NAMBLA person, like, they can say, well, I don't actually partake in violating the actual children, but I do give the organization money and I vote on its behalf and I fight for their right to exist and their fund I donate to their fundraisers and yeah, they have these great um they'll put on like a fundraiser, a fair or something, and they'll have all sorts of rides and lots of kids will come out and it'll be great and yeah, maybe a couple of kids get singled out and get violated, but thousands of other kids get to come and have a good time and nothing bad happens to them. Like is that what you say? The thing about the good parts of Christianity is you can have those without the religion. You know, be good to people. Don't kill people. Don't be loyal to your wife, your family, whatever. Like all of those things. Why do you need a Jewish fairy tale to tell you to do those things for them to matter to you? It just seems so strange, right? And nobody ever gives, like, we're not talking about something to where you like chocolate ice cream over vanilla ice cream. Like, okay, that's cool, that's your preference, that doesn't matter, that doesn't affect anybody, that's cool. When it comes to belonging to a religious cult that lobbies the government and affects government decisions and all that shit, that brainwashes children and causes way more psychological damage than people begin to talk about. The thing about religion and this idea of purpose, that you have a purpose, God gives you a purpose in this life. Well, what if you tell yourself that God's given you this monumental purpose, but you never achieve it? And you never feel good about yourself. I mean, it's all just fairy tale stupidity bullshit. And you could say like, oh, well, it gives people solace for when they die, that something there's more to. If those people were raised in a different environment, they wouldn't have the struggles they have with death. You have such a hard time dealing with death because you've been told that there's a really good chance you're going to spend the rest of eternity burning in hell. You know, that's the reality of most of your religious, you know, reality. Most of you that believe in that bullshit, you don't live a life of somebody who's going to go to heaven. I mean, look at the dumbasses on the feed. The ones that claim to be Christian, they never say anything of merit. They never say anything that, like, you would go, wow, that's a really good Christian thing to say. That's a good Christian. They definitely don't do the turn the other cheek. They definitely don't. They're not better than. And they have zero knowledge base. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't know their Bible. I mean, you know how many people walk around with that stupid cross on their neck? Because it's a fashion statement? Because it's been shown as like, oh, you gotta, like, think about it. Jewish Jesus finally comes back and he sees that you have a gold cross with diamonds and jewels and shit on it around your neck. Talk about glorifying the weapon used to kill Jesus. You think he's going to be like, that's a nice cross you have there, buddy. Thanks. Oh, look, a pedophile's here. Pedophile says Trump 2028. This is a prime example of stupidity. Because you say, wow, man, you're talking about a convicted fucking felon, a at the very, very least, covering for a pedophile ring, but clearly involved. Netanyahu, bitch, does what Netanyahu says. Racist, sexist, homophobic piece of shit. And you want him to violate like the amendments, the fucking the shit, the more amendments, because he's destroyed the First Amendment. He really does not like the First Amendment. But he's you want the legal system, the federal system, to change what its protocol is, and give this man who can barely stay awake anymore an additional 4 years, so he'll be almost like 90 fucking, almost 90 by the time his next term would end. And you would think, okay, that's a lot of heavy shit, right? There must be some even heavier shit that's good, that you can be like, just rifle off all of these really great things that Trump has done. And you'd be excited to do so. You wouldn't be a bitch ass clown pretending, oh, I'm not gonna, you know. And yet, it'll never happen. You'll never see someone come in here that supports Trump and then has something interesting to say. It's the craziest shit. Here we go. Tell me something about Jews I didn't read in the early 1900s literature. Well, considering it goes way beyond the 1900s, there you go. The auto emancipation pamphlet. Lots of people like to focus on the 1916 Balfour Declaration, which is really the Rothschild Declaration. But that's nothing. The foundations of modern Jewish nationalism, especially Zionism, date back to 1882 and this auto emancipation pamphlet that was anonymously published in German by a Russian, Polish, Jewish. He's a doctor, but that's only because Jews weren't allowed to practice law. So after he finished law school, he decided to be a doctor instead. But that's just modern Zionism, because there's a reason why they say modern Jewish nationalism and Zionism, because there's something else called proto-Zionism, which is everything before that. Now, obviously, all of the narratives are fake bullshit to begin with. Hebrew was invented in the late 1800s, early 1900s. I didn't misspeak. It was invented. Invented by a guy called Eliezer Ben Yehuda. Oh, he called me young. Oh, it's so stupid. Look at this shit. Look at these fucking crazy ass comments. It's just dumb as shit. Hebrew is an ancient language. Derp. That's what they tell you, isn't it? So let's educate y'all dumbasses for a minute. So Eliezer Ben Yehuda, that's this piece of shit. Okay, you see? Eliezer Ben Yehuda, born Eliezer Yitzhak Perlman. Gee, I wonder why he changed his name. Weird how they all changed their names to sound more Semitic, huh? It's Ben Yehuda. It's Ben Yehuda. Born January 7th, 1858, died December 16th, 1922, was another Russian Jewish, linguist, lexicographer, and journalist who immigrated to Jerusalem in 1881. just before the auto emancipation pamphlet. Interesting. When the Ottoman Empire still ruled it. He is renowned as the lexicographer of the first Hebrew dictionary and also as the editor of the Jerusalem-based Habzi, one of the first Hebrew newspapers published in the British Mandate for Palestine. Ben Yehuda was the primary driving force behind the revival of the Hebrew language. So either you believe that the Hebrew Bible and Hebrew itself is an ancient language, ancient book, this, that, and the other, or you, and somehow that language was lost, even though the Bible existed and supposedly all these Hebrew manuscripts exist and all this other shit, ancient Hebrew. Really, you have no idea. None of you have access to any of what they say is this, that, or the other. You just have to trust the lying Jews that control it all. I had 14 viewers a minute ago, and now I have 1. Don't you think it's strange that apparently me talking about this upset a lot of people, huh? How dare you talk about this stuff? How dare you say these things? And it's weird how I have the viewership until I'm at the point where I'm going to prove it to you without a shadow of a doubt. You won't, I mean, I'm sure you'll be dumb enough to say something, but you shouldn't be dumb enough to still disagree with me after I read this to you. But Jews are the best pedophiles? Yeah, they seem to be. And obviously you are too. So good to know who we're dealing with. So, okay, to accomplish the task, Ben Yehuda insisted with the Committee of the Hebrew Language that, to quote the committee records, in order to supplement the deficiencies of the Hebrew language, the committee coins words according to the rules of grammar and linguistic analogy from Semitic roots, Aramaic and especially Arabic roots. Wait, what? I mean, again, do you honestly think there was no dictionary? There was a Hebrew Bible that's thousands of years old, but nobody ever bothered to make a dictionary until this guy did. And in order to do so, they had to use Aramaic, specifically Arabic, to supplement the deficiencies, which is why a lot of times if you take Hebrew and you hold it up to a mirror, the mirror image is actually Arabic. They clearly invented this language in the late 1800s, early 1900s. The Committee of the Hebrew Language. All right? And so at this point, I'm literally reading to you the balanced and Zionist narrative that Israel wants us to have as the truth. Israel controls Wikipedia, and they taught the editors how to edit things so that everything is balanced and Zionist in nature. So when I'm reading you the narrative that they want us to know, like again, what do you think? Some random person some random anti-Semite made up this whole character in this narrative, and Wikipedia just lets it be? Do you know anything about how any of this works? Probably not. But let's keep going. Like, ask yourself these questions as we're going. How would it need to be revived? They already had Yiddish. Why would they need yet another language? Seems strange. In 1903, Ben Yehuda, along with many members of the Second Aliyah, supported Theodore Herzl's Uganda scheme proposal. Wait, Uganda scheme proposal? Wait, what are you talking about? 1916 is the Balfour Declaration, and then the Holocaust, everything's Holocaust. The Uganda scheme proposal. What's the Uganda scheme proposal? What a weird name.
How much could we honestly know about Africa in 1916?
Well,
Travel and exploration to Africa was there?
the British Uganda program, also known as the Uganda scheme, was a proposal by the British Empire to establish a semi-autonomous Jewish territory in British East Africa. Conceived during the height of European imperial expansion, the plan emerged from Britain's strategic interest in developing the East Africa Protectorate and offsetting the financial burdens of the newly built Uganda Railway. It was promoted to Theodore Herzl by Colonel Secretary Joseph Chamberlain as a potential refuge for Jews fleeing anti-Semitic violence in Eastern Europe, particularly following the Kishinev pogrom. The scheme provoked intense debate within the Zionist movement. Wait, Zionist movement? What? Challenging the primacy of Palestine as the focus of Jewish national aspirations. Wait, they weren't trying to get Palestine. What are you talking about? 1916 was the first time anybody ever mentioned a Jewish homeland in Palestine. Isn't that what you believe? Isn't that what you believe? Don't you believe it all started in 1916 with the Balfour Declaration, and they established that was the first time anybody had ever mentioned, even thought about an Israel homeland, a Jewish homeland in Palestine. Nobody had ever thought about it before. Although the Sixth Zionist Congress authorized a commission to assess the territory, widespread opposition from both Zionist delegates and white settlers in East Africa ultimately led to the withdrawal of the offer in 1905. The controversy marked a decisive moment in Zionist politics, contributing to the emergence of territorialist ideas, even as the movement reaffirmed its commitment to a Jewish homeland in Palestine. Huh. That sounds not like you've been told, doesn't it? Look at the comment section flipping out right now because I'm talking about this shit. Who's going to be upset about me talking about this? Ask yourself that fucking question. Who's going to hear about this stuff and be like, this guy needs to stop talking? Like, if they didn't want to hear what I was saying, all they would have to do is leave. But instead, they're angry. They're angry, trying to get me to stop talking, trying to talk whatever shit they can get that's going to try to get me to, focus on some bullshit for a minute, whatever. Why is there so much desperation to stop us dumb Goyim from knowing about this? And the truth is, when you read more into it, there was no withdrawal of the proposal based on the reaction. The fact was, the Jews turned it down. The Jews were offered a large portion of Uganda as just theirs. They were just going to... And because it was so remote, because it was so far away from, like, the main sense of commerce, and because the land wasn't developed, because it would have required a lot of work on their part, like a lot of work. And at the time, making black people basically slaves, like what they did to the Palestinians, but doing that to black people had started to fall out of favor. So I think politically they weighed that concept of like, do we give them this homeland that they would have to do a lot of work to make what they wanted it to be? But that's gonna, they're gonna have to take a lot of black slaves in the process. And I think they realize like that's probably not the best idea. And so being offered an entire country, a part of an entire country, they didn't take it. Now, there's another piece to this puzzle that you don't know about, which is the Jewish Autonomous Oblast in Russia, or in the Russian territories, in between Russia and China. It's this beautiful, beautiful area. Mountains and nice warm climates and reasonably mild winters, and it's beautiful. It's just as beautiful, like it's as white people as you can imagine. It's I think it's 3 or 4 times as big as Israel. It's they wouldn't be surrounded by all the Arabs that hate them so much. and they have their own land established in 1928. They had their own piece of property already. They had their own homeland, sanctuary, place for them. They had it already. It just wasn't good enough. They wanted Palestine. So wait, you notice I said something in early in it? I mentioned the 6th Zionist Congress. What's the 6th Zionist Congress? Look at this picture. Look at this picture. Look at the buildings in the background. And of course you have the top hats. And clothes that, I mean, think about that. Look at that dress. Unless it's like 40, 50 degrees out, that's going to be pretty uncomfortable, don't you think? And yet every single fucking picture you see from back then, people are somehow, some reason, dressed like it's freezing. That's Herzl outside Basel Synagogue on the eve of the first session. The 6th Zionist Congress was held in Basel, Switzerland, opening on August 23rd, 1903. Theodor Herzl caused great division among the delegates when he presented the Uganda scheme, a proposed Jewish colony in what is now part of Kenya. You heard about all this in school growing up, right? You heard about this supremacy that these guys wielded and this power, and they weren't made to be the ultimate victims. So think about this. I just love this whole thing, right? It's in 1903 in Basel, Switzerland. Okay? Let's think about it for a minute. You know what? Let me give you a few more details before we go down here. This is the background. Following the success of Der Judenstaat, published in 1896, and the first Zionist Congress the following year, Theodor Herzl had become the undisputed leader of the Zionist movement. He envisioned, by the way, if you're watching this, like, share, sub, help the fuck out. This is education. This is not some conspiracy theory, Alex Jones kind of bullshit. I am literally reading you the truth that they want us to know. It might not be the 100% truth, but it's definitely the truth that Israel wants us to know. Because Israel controls Wikipedia, without a shadow of a doubt. Israel controls Wikipedia. And I know that's something you can't just say that. Okay, so I don't want to do this, but we'll do this. So this is Naftali Bennett. You don't know who he is, but he is a former, at this point, Israeli prime minister from June 21 to June 22 during the 3-year period that Israel had 6 prime ministers. Just under 4 years, 6 prime ministers. But this is back in 2010. Shortly after the first Gaza flotilla, the one that happened to birth Ken O'Keefe, of all people. For all of you that you Canaanites out there who fall for that bullshit. But at the time, he is a, high-ranking Israeli operative, Mossad, idea. He's a suit in that military occupation. He's one of the suits, but he's high-ranking at this point, so he's not quite a prime minister yet. But here he is talking to the IsraelNationalNews.com, back again, 2010, where he says this.
Metzitzia, in conjunction with My Israel, has arranged instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
I came here to learn.
It's really interesting when you go back and you break that video down and you pay attention to every time he says, it's always where you can tell, like, there's the scripted part where he goes off, without any interruption. But there's the parts where he has to remember that he's not just talking to fellow Jews about us dumb Goyim. And he says things like, we're here to arrange an instruction day. When the reality is they're demanding that the Wikipedia editors do as they command. And as at the end, when he says, if somebody searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys that influence what is written, how it is written. I mean, he's not even hiding. We want to influence what the Goyim are reading, what is written, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced. And he thinks about it, and he thinks, do I say paints Jews in a fair light? Do I say paints Israel fairly, or any? You know what? Fuck it. Zionist in nature. He's saying that everything that you read on Wikipedia is balanced and Zionist in nature. So anything that has to do with them, it gets the most attention, right? And so everything that's on here that has to do with them, like, this is the truth about this that they want the Goy to know. That's the best you're going to get. This is what is going to be taught to your kids. This is what you're supposed to say when the questions are asked to you. That's what Wikipedia represents. As he said, the number one information source, the number one source of information in the world. And they're in full control. It's definitely interesting. Let's see. There's your 30 heard him become undisputed leader. He envisioned a mass migration of Jewish people on, quote, on a very large scale to Palestine, and that the colony should be, quote, secured by public law. Does this fit the narrative you were told? Does this fit the narrative you've been forced to regurgitate? Like when you were in school, did your teacher tell you about the Havara agreement? No. But here we are in 1896. That's what we're talking about. 1896. The narrative is telling you that the leaders of the Jewish community at the time were already talking about colonizing Palestine, sending large groups of people there. Well, you're not going to send people there without money. You're not going to send people there without a plan. They're not just going to show up and be homeless. Or maybe. That's all part of the repop bullshit. And that famous story of the Palestinians being the one people that would take the Jews in when they were expelled, letting the Jews live in their houses with them. And then one day, as if it was all a big plan, the Palestinians come home from work or whatever, and the doors are all locked, and the locks have been changed. And they just don't live there anymore. And this is long before the Nakba. 1948. For the next 7 years, Herzl devoted himself to achieving this vision. His first approach was an attempt to gain Ottoman backing. He lobbied Sultan Abdul Hamid II with proposals for Jewish financial assistance. Again, what could they possibly offer to people? Hey, we'll help you out. Like, bitch, I'm already the Sultan. What do I need from you? That sounds about right. Doesn't make sense until you sprinkle it with some conspiracy. In 1898, he contrived to have an interview with the Kaiser. He approached British politicians with proposals for colonies in Cyprus and Al Arish. What? You heard about all this, right? I mean, I know you might have heard of Theodore Herzl in your life. And you might even know that he's sort of associated to Jewish stuff. But that'll be about it. You won't know all this because you never hear about any of this. Does this sound like a victim? Does this sound like victim people? Does this sound like people that have been oppressed and, kicked out and all this other stuff? Does this sound like people that aren't demanding and receiving Semitism in every aspect that they'd require or they desire? I'd love to see someone try to do a stream with this guy. For what? What are they? If you can't best me in the comments, what makes you think you're gonna do it with the live situation with a pressure-filled live situation? It's not gonna work out. It's gonna work out even worse for you. And why would I ever? Has anybody even begun to make comments where I'm like, wow, man, you have a really interesting perspective. I'd love to talk to you more, blah, blah, blah. Does that ever happen? What do you want to see me just wreck one of these people live? You want to see somebody come on here in a live feed and act like a fucking stupid ass? Because none of these fucking weirdos are even, they're not capable of doing it in the easier scenario, where all you have to do is think about what you're saying, make sure it's spelled right, and respond to what I'm saying, or make accusations, whatever. But you're not on the spotlight. Nobody can see your reactions. Nobody can see if I say something and you go, oh shit, man, I didn't think about that. If you don't respond for a few minutes, well, who knows? You could have been doing something, you could have been typing something, whatever. Belch. Excuse me. You're not shooting from the hip. You have all of the advantages in the world and you just get smashed. Why would I ever want to bring somebody in a live feed? The craziest part is back when I used to only talk about chemtrails for the chemtrails in the church, but mostly chemtrails. I was allowed, I had a meteoric rise. I went from nothing to something in less than a year and was a guest on multiple podcasts. Those podcasts, they devolved really quickly out from the wow, chemtrails are crazy narrative to let's talk about what's going on. But when I was pushing distraction like chemtrails, I was allowed to. I was allowed to. It was pretty good. Again, look at all the comment section. Why is anyone upset about what I'm talking about? Outside of being a piece of shit pedo friar, why would anybody be like even slightly bothered that I'm reading this Jewish history? It's really, really telling to me how upset it seems to make people. And just how desperate people are to try to get me to stop talking about this. By the way, again, if you're watching, like, share, sub, help out. I need to say this shit more anyway, so pretend I say it all the time. Like, share, sub, help. So look at all this bullshit. Like, I can literally pick any comment randomly, and it's just gonna be some bullshit. Nobody's gonna say, dude, you're wrong about this because of this. How can you? I'm literally reading you what the historical narrative says. Like, other than, chiming in with the holy shit, I didn't know that kind of stuff. Why wouldn't you just be interested in what's being said? You absolutely don't know this narrative already. You could be learning something, and instead you're crying because you can't get my attention. Really interesting. By 1903, none of these approaches had produced any results. Nobody was like, yeah, we'll just give the Jews territory to have as their own for no fucking reason. And it also shows you like it's deeper, right? If these are really God's chosen people and all this other shit, why did everybody resist them so much? If they were good people, if they were productive people, if they benefited the society in any sort of way, why were they so rejected? Like, you don't do that to good, nice people. You don't reject people that are good to you. You don't reject people that are helpful, that are good community members and shit like that. If anything, in our society, it's the opposite. You'll excuse horrible behavior because somebody's such a good person. It's yeah, he's a fucking racist piece of shit, but he does do a lot. He, like what's his name? Down the street from us. No, in the old house. Ed. Ed was a motherfucker. Ed was a piece of shit. But deep down, like, he had a good heart. He would cut the he would have his crew cut the fucking grass at the playground of the abandoned school across the street, just so the kids had somewhere to play and shit. Like, he was that guy, but he was a fucking racist douchebag. And you just sort of dealt with it because, he did whatever. We overlook shit because people are good. To reject people altogether, to kick people out, to discriminate against people like that, they would have to be pretty, substantially not good, awful, just bad, like, not just, I don't want to deal with you, I want you the fuck out of here. Like, that's, especially when, again, they're supposed to be Christian God's chosen people, and the United States was very, very Christian for most of it. Still is. By design. The majority of the people think that, like, will fight you over their second tier status. I am a proud Jewish slave. I am a proud Goyim. In the Bible, if you're not one of the chosen people, what are you? You're a slave. Spoiler alert. Of course. But this is all they can bring. There is no arguing. Again, look at it from like a step back and look at it from like a psychological perspective. What is motivating these people? The guy, at the very least, I'm the guy that thinks we should kill pedos and overthrow the friars. And now I'm providing you a whole bunch of truth, a whole bunch of narrative that it's their narrative, so they should be proud of it. They should want us to know what's going on. And yet, this is so stupid. And yet they're seemingly very, very angry and consistently just begging, hoping something they say sways the conversation. Who do you think that is? In April of that year, the Jewish population of Kishinev was subjected to a 3-day pogrom fueled by blood libel accusations. So basically, they got caught kidnapping a child and then draining its blood for their rituals. And the people were like, hey, we've heard about this. We didn't really think you told us. That's just, that's just fantasy blood libel bullshit. But turns out, and of course, if you read about it, you'll hear how after the fact, turns out that none of it was true. None of it. The people of an entire region made very, very specific accusations, ones that have followed your people and your people alone, the entire historical narrative, and yet it's not true. We promise. Let's see. Russian Imperial period. Alright, so the pogrom. Here we go. In the late 19th century, especially due to growing anti-Semitic sentiment in other parts of the Russian Empire, again, nobody ever says, well, why? What was the thing that was so, why did they not like them? I can't stress this enough. If they have their own community and their community is, it's isolated, but it's welcoming and it's, it helps and it's, sure, they all live together and there's nothing wrong with that. We have those communities all over. Hamtramck used to be the Polish community. Now it's more Bosnians. But like that, people of the same, ilk want to live together. Sure, cool, whatever. Nobody was ever like, God damn it, those Poles in Hamtramck, they're always so nationalist. We just hate how proud of themselves they are. And one of the things, so we literally have somebody on here using the pizza fucking terminology. Because that's not a fucking pedo, right? I don't care what else you have to say. That will not be tolerated. We will not be using pedophile code so you can communicate with your fellow pedos. Look into it, it's pretty substantial. Pretending you don't know what Pizzagate is kind of foolish, especially since it's all coming out with the Epstein files that holy shit, Pizzagate was true. What? No. Damn it, where is Mary? Let's see. And better economic conditions in Moldova, many Jews chose to settle in Chisinau. By the year 1897, 46% of the population was Jewish. Over 50,000 people. Now, again, belch. Think about what that's like, right? You have your own community. You have your own everything. And out of the blue, these people who have 10, 15 kids refuse to work, demand all sorts of assistance and they refuse to work because their lives are to be spent studying the Torah. And like it's insane. And they're just invading you. Like, think about all of the scary stuff that they say about black people and Mexicans and Muslims. The Muslim grooming gangs are coming into Europe, and Charles even thinks that there's the Muslim gangs are there. And, you know, it's a strange thing to to see how the blacks are moving into the neighborhoods and they're trying to rape the white women and they're trying to take over, and that narrative is always used. And it seems like it might come from this narrative. But with this narrative, it's pushed like it's this good thing. Imagine what it's like. You have all these really, really supremacist, mean, nasty little smelly people that are just invading your community. Like, I'm telling you, go just look it up. Go look up what's that what's that community in the northern in like Maine or whatever it is in the Northeast. Oh, I forget what it's got this weird name to it too, where it's like, that's a strange name for it, but lately it's been being exposed because everybody wants to cry about Somalia, which nobody's crying about anymore. Notice how the Somalia talk is gone. And the Somalia talk disappeared because people were pointing out this Jewish neighborhood. But the best example is always going to be Morgan Spurlock. When Morgan Spurlock did the Where in the World is Osama bin Laden movie, went all over the Middle East, never had any problems with anybody until he went to Israel, where Golda Meir told him that this land was promised to the Jews by God, and you know what we're doing is justified, and then tanks fired sort of at him, or at least like to scare him. Then he goes into a small Hasidic town where he's then surrounded. Within minutes of being there, a mob of angry Jews are ready to attack him, to the point where his armed security finally makes a presence, and they haven't been seen in any of the other footage. They finally have to be there to get him, and he's like, I got to get out of here. They're about to attack us. He was in that Hasidic neighborhood for like 10 minutes before he had to flee because they were attacking him for asking questions. An outsider wanted to know what they thought about things. He wasn't even there like condemning them or anything. He was there giving them a platform to be able to make themselves look whatever way they wanted to be seen. And what they were seen as is fucking savages. Childish savages. You know? So imagine what it's like to have these fucking childish little savages come into your town and start demanding that, everybody fucking favor them. They demand the policy and predisposition favorable to them. Demanding Semitism. Imagine what the fuck that was like back then. Especially when it's not like you had an internet. It's not like you had a way to sort of figure it out or look, ask around, hey, is anybody else experiencing this crazy shit? Or imagine how terrifying that was. So good. Again, ask yourself, oh shit, what the fuck is going on? Oh, fuck. Just lost my page. Damn, what was I looking up? We had gotten to the Uganda scheme proposal, I think. Isn't that where we were? What the fuck? We got to the Sixth Zionist Congress. And that's where we were. Sixth Zionist Congress. Oh, and then we had gotten to the Kishinev. Right, that's where we were. Jesus. Okay, so again, 50,000 people had invaded them. As part of the pogrom wave organized in the Russian Empire, a large anti-Semitic riot was organized in the town on April 19th, April 20th. It's one of their favorite days. Surprised it wasn't October 7th. 1903, which would later be known as the Kishinev pogrom. The rioting continued for 3 days, resulting in 47 Jews dead, 92 severely wounded, and 500 suffering minor injuries. In addition, several hundred houses and many businesses were plundered and destroyed. Some sources say 49 people were killed. 49 people, not 47. The pogroms were largely believed to have been incited by anti-Jewish propaganda in the only official newspaper of the time. There's a blah, 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 blah. Mayor Schmidt disapproved of the incident and resigned later in 1903. The reactions to this incident include a petition to Tsar Nicholas II of Russia on behalf of the American people by U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt in July 1903. Think about this shit. Why is this even on the radar of the United States in 1949? Or 1903, sorry. 1903, Roosevelt is hearing about this pogrom that's happening in fucking Russia, some small little Russian town. That the natives of the place resist the invasion of these fucking parasites. And because of that, the President of the United States petitioned Tsar Nicholas II of Russia on behalf of the American people. Do you, God damn it, do you see this shit? On August 22nd, 1905, another violent event occurred. The police opened fire on an estimated 3,000 demonstrating agricultural workers. Only a few months later, on October 19th to 20th, 1905, a further protest occurred, hoping to force the hand of Nicholas II in bringing about the October Manifesto. However, these demonstrations suddenly turned into another anti-Jewish pogrom, resulting in 19 deaths. It's going to be interesting how it's going to be presented. So here is a picture of bodies in the street. I mean, so if I showed you this picture and I said there's a possibility that this is a staged picture, would I be far-fetched?
I mean, no, there's a possibility. Who the fuck would do something that fucking sick?
I mean, who else does something that sick when they want to manipulate the people into feeling sorry for them? This isn't something I'd show it, but it's, I mean,
It's graphic.
It's not even graphic. There's nothing graphic about it. If I told you this was a bunch of people laying on the ground sleeping, you wouldn't be able to tell me it's not. The Kishinev pogrom, or the Kishinev massacre, was an anti-Jewish riot that took place in Kishinev, Moldova, then the capital of Bessarabia Governorate in the Russian Empire, on April 19th through the 21st, or OS April 6th through the 8th. Because we have those different dates for whatever. 1903. During the pogrom, which began on Easter Day, between 40 and 49 Jews were killed, 92 gravely injured, and 500 were lightly injured, and 1,500 homes were damaged. I mean, 500 people exactly, and 1,500 homes exactly. Because they don't say around. They tell you it's this. It's 49 were killed, between 40 and 49, because, apparently they don't have accurate records around that. But they do know, they don't know exactly how many were killed. There's a 9-person discrepancy. But they know that 92 people were injured. What kind of stupid shit is this? American friars began large-scale organized financial help and assisted in immigration. Oh, what a surprise! So it worked out. They present a narrative with zero evidence but say a couple of pictures, and they get what they want out of it. Does that sound familiar? This sounds like October 7th. We promised this happened. And I mean, again, what were the communication networks like in 1903? Maybe I'm just foolish, right? Maybe I am like, I'm just dumb, and 1903 communications were a lot better than I think they were. Like, phones and shit were better than I think, right? Is that? Let's see here real quick. Telephone, shorten the phone. 1876, Alexander Graham Bell was the first to be granted a U.S. patent for a device that produced clearly intelligible replication of the human voice at a second device. Intelligible replication. That's a weird way to put it. That it's replicating our voices, that it's not, we're not communicating, but it's replicating it. It's a weird way to put it. This instrument was further developed by many others and became rapidly indispensable in business, government, and in households. Okay, I know how it works. I know this. I know that. All right, let's go down to the history, early history. I mean, to have telephones, you have to have telephone networks. Those telephones essentially have to be connected to each other. Back in this time, what was the infrastructure that enabled this telephone system to exist? Yeah, you invent the phone,
Operator.
and then you take it to your friend, and you're like, all right, let's make this first connected phone call. But what did the signal travel on? We're talking about, like she says, the operator. It used to be a huge network. You would have to call into it, and then the operator would connect you to the person you wanted. Right.
And plug it into the.
Exactly. And we never talk about that. We never talk about how many jobs were lost. I mean, there had to be thousands and thousands of operators.
There were tech jobs created. The people that have to, design and maintain and repair the system.
The telephone repairman, just like the TV repairman, is another one of those things that's completely gone.
But yeah, that doesn't necessarily give those operators that lost their jobs another opportunity.
Well, those were women.
Right, they're not skilled in those things, so they didn't get those jobs.
But not even that. They were women. That was a woman's job. They weren't gonna hire a bunch of women as techs and repair people. Okay, so this is Alexander Graham Bell's telephone patent in 1876. He just, I mean, just think about the presentation of this thing. So, yeah, so I need to then, I'm going to set up this thing, and then I'm going to add some posts into the ground and then run some really long fucking wire one side to the next. And yeah, and then eventually it's just going to be wire everywhere because that's how it has to work until we figure out how to put it underground, which will probably be like initially. Initially, the wires were underground somehow. Replica of the Teletorofano, a museum Naziel Sciences in Italy, invented by Antonio Mucci and credited by several sources as the first telephone. That would be this thing, somehow. What the fuck are we talking about here?
This with a string.
It's a ball in a cup. This looks like, now look at the little nodes on it and shit. Now are we talking about etherical communication? Because I don't see any wires attached to that thing. This is Reese's telephone, patented to the Physical Society of Frankfurt on October 26th, 1861. First device called telephone. That would be this fucking thing somehow, whatever the fuck this thing is. And of course, this is going to be a drawing. We're not gonna. But so just look at this. Just give this a second. Look at all of the tiny little metal pieces, all of the, all of the probably gears and all kinds of shit that go into this. So this stuff doesn't exist, meaning the inventor has to fabricate all of the pieces as well. You don't just draw it and be like, well, this is how this shit, and theoretically, this is how this would look and work. Somebody had to fabricate all of these individual little pieces. And I mean, there's so much more to the narrative than they love to let us know. Bell placing the first New York to Chicago telephone call in 1892. And look at a whole bunch of top hats are there. They don't have their hats on because they're inside. But everybody's like, hey, why don't we all look the exact same? We'll all have like the same mustache. If you don't have the mustache, you have the beard, but most of us are gonna have the mustache. This is look at the intricate woodworking and the decoration on the wall, and look at all the way, look at that ribbon, that just unnecessary flower lattice shit on the wall. Why? You know how much extra effort that takes to put that in there? It looks like it's made out of marble too. That's part of the marble pillar that's there, or granite, whatever. That's carved. So this thing is connected by a wire to another system from New York to Chicago. Now, 1892, right? What the fuck are we talking about? Power tools aren't invented for another 3 years. 1895, the first power tools are invented. And yet, 1892, Alexander Graham Bell is running a line from New York to Chicago that goes uninterrupted, that's able to carry one voice to another. Do you guys, like, I'm sorry, to me that just seems weird. Especially when I think about like what I'm told the world looked like at that time. Your stories of like cowboys and Indians and shit. Yeah, that's what's happening at this time. You'll see pictures from this time of cities where it'll be like, the big monumental structure palaces are there, and then these little thatch roof piece of shit houses are there next to it. And then, of course, on the other side of that, there's the miles and miles of apartment buildings that were built all over the place somehow. I used to, just watching The Honeymooners. And you look at what that's supposed to represent. They're supposed to represent that they live in New York, that they have this apartment, and it's whatever, but you just think like that show takes place in the 30s, right? 30s or 40s. Who built it? How did it all get built? I know that's just a set, but I'm saying what it represents. Think about all those old buildings and the boiler systems that would have to heat them, and oh no, it's a coal system. Well, where are the truckloads of coal being brought to every day? New York itself, if you think about just New York and you think about what New York is like from like November through what? April? Especially those, February, January months. How did those people stay warm back then? I think the whole Pilgrim story is bullshit. And I didn't even know how bullshit it was till I looked into it. But you're talking about Plymouth, Massachusetts. They landed in November, but didn't come off the boat until December like 21st or something like that. And it's like, am I supposed to believe that they were in Massachusetts or that it was December? Which one? Because it can't be both. They would have died. You know, winter in that area at that time of year is brutal. Matt, what's up, dude? For the development of the electric telephone, the term telephone was applied to other inventions, and not all early researchers of the electrical device used the term. Perhaps, the earliest use of the word for a communication system was a telephone created by Gottfried Huth in 1796. Huth proposed an alternative to the optical telegraph of Claude Chappie, in which the operators in the signaling towers would shout to each other by means of what he called speaking tubes, but would now be called giant megaphones. Yeah, well, that's going to really help with some secret communications, right? Hey! 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 Yeah, we're sorry. The people you are trying to reach are not home right now. But if you leave a message, time you call, I'll make sure they get back to you. It's also the invention of the first answering machine. A communications device for sailing vessels called telephone was invented by Captain John Taylor in 1884. This instrument used 4 air horns to communicate with vessels in foggy water or foggy weather. And they called that a telephone. Like, I thought like telephone is like a combination of Greek, telecommunicate phone device, something. I don't know. Maybe I'm dumb, I guess. Well, we already knew that, right? Johann Philipp Reis used the term in reference to his invention, commonly known as the Reis telephone, or Reis telephone, in circa 1860. We don't know. He wasn't in the group, so we didn't have like the most accurate history of him. His device appears to be the first device based on the conversion of sound into electrical impulses. I mean, guys. It's 1860. What do you think 1860 looks like? What do you think? Like, I love this thought of like, what do you think laboratories look like? And then how did the laboratories get started? I always think of cartoons when I think of old laboratories. And I think of funny shaped glasses with colored liquids all blue, 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 And that seems, there's a reason why that's the standard image in all the old cartoons, because that's what they used to look like, I guess. But I always just think like, how did they how did they light the room? They're really doing all these really intricate experiments and shit, inventing and all that shit by lamplight, carving all these machine parts, and like, it's just so stupid. They love showing you crazy inventions, but if you just step back and you look and you think like, what did it take to invent that? Again, somebody had to fabricate all of the little metal dials and woojubes and, you know, gears and turnies and all of that shit. Wait, just with their little file. Oh, okay, let's try to put it together. Nope, it clinks a little. All right, so file it down a little bit more. Okay. Now you add this one. Now you gotta add this one. Now you gotta add. Okay, now wait. Do all of those? Oh wait, now it's off a little bit. Now file it down. Like, come on. The narrative is just fucking stupid. 1860, the first device based on of conversion of sound into electrical impulses. The term telephone was adopted into the vocabulary of many languages. It's derived from the Greek. Well, there we go. Tele, which means far, and and phone, which means voice. Together meaning distant voice. So I guess the megaphone is a better thing. Credit for the invention of the electric telephone is frequently disputed. You know, because at the exact same time, multiple people were somehow working on this exact same device in competition with each other in multiple places around the world. You know, because that's just fucking A, that's just how it works. As with other influential inventions, such as the radio, the television, the light bulb, and the computer. Gosh, that's strange. You know, we'll know who invented or did, you know, we'll know all kinds of stupid shit about all kinds of people from the 1300s, you know, just all sorts of dumbass narratives. He was offered a job by this person, but by this monarchy, but then he turned it down and instead went and took this job. And like, we know all kinds of goofy shit like that. Who invented the first telephone, radio, television, light bulb, computer? These things that actually drastically affect our everyday lives? We don't know. Several inventors pioneered experimental work on voice transmission over a wire and improved on each other's ideas. New controversies over the issue still arise from time to time. Charles Bourcel, Antonio Meucci, Johann Philip Rees, Alexander Graham Bell, and Elijah Gray, amongst others, have all been credited with the invention of the telephone. That's just not how things work. And we're talking about, I mean, if you say that two guys in the same town are working on something and you know they were talking about it one day at the bar and they had a dispute, so one guy went off and did this. And okay. To suggest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and others all invented this one thing. I get the concept of each person, you know, something's invented and then it's you know, it's improved by other people, and each one of those improvements is categorized in the historical narrative, and we know that. That's usually how shit goes. But not when it comes to the telephone, the radio, the television, the light bulb, and the computer. And these are things where they're like super fucking intricate, super, like, do you ever look at what old televisions look like on the inside? They look like alien worlds and shit. Like futuristic alien worlds. All these towers and different hoojubes and, you know, big giant fucking screen. I mean, literally the telephone, or the telephone, but the television repairman, you know, there were lots of people for many, many decades that were able to have a nice house, a family, a retirement, put kids through college, all that because they were television repairmen. They were elevator operators. They were phone operators. Look at it. The comment section. It's like, God damn it. My great-great-grandfather invented the telephone. I don't appreciate you talking about that. That's why I'm here and I'm mad. Alexander Graham Bell was the first to be awarded a patent for the electric telephone by the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Let me guess. The guy that was like the master Freemason and, that kind of narrative story. Self-taught. Self-taught engineer, painter, veterinarian, topographer, fucking, hairstylist. Before Bell's patent, the telephone transmitted sound in a way that was similar to the telegraph. This method used vibrations and circuits to send electrical impulses, but was missing key features. Bell found that this method produced a sound through intermittent currents, but in order for the telephone to work, a fluctuating current reproduced sounds the best. He figured, that 1876, man, they were just cranking this shit out. Like, if you think that they were literally inventing all of these things, because they all basically came out at the same time, except for the computer, telephone, radio, television, all this shit. It's roughly the same period. And you think, man, those people were just creating all sorts of amazing shit back then. And here we are, 2025. We're like we pale in comparison. You'd think by now we'd be doing all kinds of crazy shit if that's what we were doing back then. That first patent by Bell was the master patent of the telephone, from which other patents for electric telephone devices and features flowed. In 1876, shortly after Bell's patent application, Hungarian engineer Tovardar Puskas proposed the telephone switch, which allowed for the formation of telephone exchanges and eventually networks. In March of 76, Bell applied for the patent, and shortly thereafter, a Hungarian engineer came up with the whole switch, the telephone. Man, that is an amazing sort of progression of this thing where it's almost like they just gave it to us. And they had to come up with something to explain it. In the United Kingdom, the blower is used as a slang term for the phone. The term came from the Navy slang for speaking tube. I don't care about that. Antonio Meucci, 1849, developed a voice communication apparatus that several sources credited as the first telephone. I mean, there you go. Because wherever he is, it's super cold outside. Look, he's got big ass boots on. He has multiple layers, and those are thick. Look at how thick those clothes are. Thick ass shirt and shit. Must be freezing where he is. That's 1849. Oh no, that's not 1849. I don't know when that picture's from. Johann Philipp Reis constructed the first device to transmit a voice via electronic signals, and for that, the first modern telephone. But this guy didn't bother to actually pose for any pictures. We just get a drawing of him, of course. Okay. And then below that, Bell's first telephone transmitter circa 1876, reenacted 50 years later. Oh, so this isn't actually it, but this is what, again, think about this. Look at what you're looking at. This guy just fabricated all of that shit in his lab one day. Look at that. He just fabricated all of that.
Talks into that, and the fan blows his voice out to the
I mean,
next
what?
road.
Right? What are we even looking at? But then, you know, the little wires that are coming off at the back, right? See the little wires?
Yes.
So that's where the voice then that shit. It goes through those after it goes through the fan. The fan blows it through the thing.
That shit is ridiculous.
Oh, look at this. Here's an ad. At last, a perfectly reliable acoustic telephone. So just think about what that implies. At last, that means people had been waiting for this. This isn't an invention that is just sort of sprung on the people. This sounds like, hey, you know, that thing we've been working on and working towards, or there are multiple not nearly as good inventions of or something, but at last they got it figured out, boy. You guys are gonna be able to sit and, like, oh my god, have talks for hours. What year is this? Which thing? Which part? We're in the, let's see. We're basically in the 1876 was when Bell got the patent. So, but all of these other things are supposedly earlier. Those other pictures I showed you were from earlier things.
I'm so popular. I'm a winner. I'm the one you always talk about.
All right, so at last, a perfectly reliable acoustic telephone. That would be this thing where I guess you speak into that giant fucking thing at the top and it spits out the response. Is that what that is? Because the Bell system is down at the bottom. This is Shaver's system, it says at the top. The consolidated telephone. Patent. August 27th, 1878. So just think about it. Again, think about how we're told things worked. And then in 1876, man, everybody is just making new telephones and all this other shit. Where did this just explode out of? A telephone that will work well over any route, regardless of angles. Because angles used to be an issue? Why would angles be an issue if it's traveling down the wire?
Because you have to be right there. If you're over there and I'm blowing it this way, it's going there. It's missing
Right,
it.
but the angle means the signal is going down and it hits the angle and it's like, oh, I don't know where to go. It's an electrical signal. So the electrical signal would just keep going.
But it's got to be like in this bubble, you know?
But why would you even have angles? Why wouldn't you just have it go around and then when it's room?
There's right turns and that's too much.
A telephone that will work that will work well in all kinds of weather, wind or rain. A telephone that does not roar when the wind blows.
Oh, that was annoying.
A telephone that will admit of several instruments upon the same trunk line. What? An acoustic telephone central office, adapted to switch one line with another, similar in effect to the electric system. This is attained by the Shaver system and its practical utility demonstrated by its use by over 150 bona fide subscribers in New York City who are paying rentals of $2 to $8 per month for the service. Wow, that's interesting. Right, like you have to buy. I mean, it's so interesting how it's still the same sort of thing. Just I don't know. Telephones sold outright or rented in unoccupied territory. Send stamp for list of users and testimonials. It will pay you to investigate the truth of these statements and secure an agency. How would you ever investigate the truth in the statements? Would you call somebody? Right? Like, in what capacity would you have to be able to investigate the claims of this company? Liberal discounts to agents and satisfaction guaranteed or money returned. References. Agents of what? To rapidly introduce our goods, we will, for the first line in any town, give a discount of 60%. 60%. They're giving a discount of 60% from our regular retail prices for telephones, as given below, providing the purchaser will endeavor to secure us a reliable agent. What does that mean? Retail prices. Telephones each are $10. Magneto call bells, not necessary. Wire per 100 feet, 25 cents. Hangers for right angles, 25 cents. Ordinary supports, 1 cent. The shaver system of telephony has been in use by many business houses in this city for the past 2 years. So, if the patent was issued in 76, this is supposedly from 78, that means this system immediately went into operation. Which means the infrastructure had to be there immediately. And I still want to know what this cell phone thing. They all share the same cell phone towers now, but what was the infrastructure like back then? Past 2 years gives us universal satisfaction, and we cheerfully recommend it to those desiring such service. Frank Leslie's publishing house, the Consolidated Telephone Company, Jersey City, New Jersey. That is fuck. Here is an 1896 telephone from Sweden. 1896 telephone. Look at how spectacular that thing looks. How decorative and beautiful that thing looks. This is a wooden wall telephone with a hand-cranked magneto generator. A hand-cranked magneto generator. Look at this shit. Look at all of the pieces, the components. Look at how, look at this. What's making all of this work? Who's inventing this? Who's mass producing? What factories exist to mass produce all of these little bells and whistles and shit on here? Maybe that's where bells and whistles come from. 1844, Innocenzo Manzetti first mooted the idea of a speaking telegraph or telephone. Use of the speaking telegraph and sound telegraph monikers would eventually be replaced by the newer distinct name telephone. I mean, again, who is this Innocenzo Manzetti that him talking about this gets documented in the history books for 2025, 2026 guy to be reading on Wikipedia? Like, so this guy just mentioned it and somebody was like, hey, write that down, put it in the forever book. 1849, Antonio Meucci developed a voice communications apparatus that several sources credit as the first telephone. But what the fuck was it? August 26, 1854, Charles Broussel published an article in the magazine L'Illustration, Paris, Transmission électrique de la parole, electric transmission of speech, describing a make and break type telephone transmitter later credited to Johann Ries. So again, the idea that this guy just that he just made an article about, like, is he a fucking a psychic or some shit? Is that what we're saying? He like psychically predicted it, or what the fuck? October 26, 1861, Johann Philipp Ries, 1834 to 1874, only lived 40 years, huh? Publicly demonstrated the Ries telephone before the Physical Society of Frankfurt. The Physical Society of Frankfurt. It was the first device to transmit a voice via electric signals, and for that the first modern telephone. Ries also coined the term. He used his telephone to transmit the phrase "Das Frist keinen Gussgurken." The horse does not eat cucumber salad. Get the fuck out of here. Like, they're just laughing at us. What's the most ridiculous thing we can say that they said? The horse does not eat cucumber salad. That's the thing he wanted to get across. You can't even be like, well, he was trying to use as many letters as possible or whatever, because he didn't. August 22nd, 1865, La Foule de Apostole, I don't know, Estol, reported, it is rumored that English technicians to whom Manzetti illustrated his method for transmitting spoken words on the telegraph wire intend to apply said invention in England on several private telegraph lines. However, telephones would not be demonstrated there until 1876 with a set of telephones from Bell. It's rumored? We're talking about random fucking reports of rumors being in the historical narrative as... I mean, just think about this shit. Think about what I'm saying to you. December 28th, 1871, Antonio Meucci files patent caveat number 3335. 333, huh? In the U.S. Patent Office, titled Sound Telegraph, describing communication of voice between two people by wire. A patent caveat was not an invention patent award, but only an unverified notice filed by an individual that he or she intends to file a patent application in the future. I mean, so you just go to this office and you're like, all right, so, like, music is like, put on this little thing that can hear it, put it on a thing, and then you play it back, and you can hear the music without hearing the orchestra. Okay, so I said that. So now, if anybody else comes up with that, that's my idea. And this guy in 1871 just travels to the patent office so he can be like, I have this idea. Write that down, and then he goes, and that's what that whole thing existed of. That's how the society worked back then. Bell didn't take credit. Bell was given credit. Bell is a character. We don't even know if Bell actually existed at this point. That's where I'm at with all of it. You don't know if these people actually existed. That's why they always look the same in the pictures. That's why so many of the poses are all the same. These are all just AI generated images of characters that they created. It's all fucking stupid. That or this weak ass narrative I'm reading you makes sense to you. You could always say that. 1874, Miyuchi, after having renewed the caveat for 2 years, does not renew it again, and the caveat lapses. Just think about this. April 16th, 1875, Bell's U.S. patent number 161,739. So he files patent number 3,335 in 1871. And by April of 1875, they're on 161,739. What is happening? That is an incredible rise. I don't even know what that percentage is. You know. Is that like 8,000%? What 3,000? I have to know now.
I awoke with a cold, sick of monotony. I realized the globe really has got to be flat out hypocrisy. So here's my declaration. Now go ahead, mock me and buy the space station.
I'm so dumb.
It's time for the ball to flatline. 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 It's time for the ball to flatline.
It's like 5,000%. Yeah, it's like 5,000%. That's a 5,000% increase in patents in a 4-year period. That doesn't make any sense. And we're talking about the 1870s. I just can't stress these facts enough. Like, think about what you think 1870 looks like. Transmitters and receivers for electric telegraphs, as granted, This uses multiple vibrating steel reeds in make-break circuits. February 11th, 1876, Elijah Gray invents a liquid transmitter for use with the telephone, but does not build one. Then you didn't invent it. And it's what? What the fuck are... Oh my god, it's so frustrating. Because it's sort of being presented like, of course everybody knew about this invention that didn't exist. Like it's not like there were telephones in every town, every home, and all that shit. These were very, very scarce things, or at least theoretically they should be. And yet, somehow, everybody knows about it and everybody's working on it, trying, like, where the fuck are all these people worldwide? They are doing this shit. They are worldwide working together to try to come up with how this is the best thing ever. It's so fucking lunatic. It's like it's so just crazy. February 14th, 1876, Gray files a patent caveat for transmitting the human voice through telegraphic circuit. 3 days after inventing it, he's filing for the patent. Where does he... I mean, you have to think about this. The only way he could have done that is in person. So hopefully he lived within the exact same town, because any other situation, even if it was, 50 miles away, that would have taken a long time. He would have had to get on his horseback and just ride like crazy so he could get there. Like, February 14th, 1876, Alexander Graham Bell applies for the patent Improvements on Telegraphy. It's telegraphy, but it's just such a weird... For electromagnetic telephones using what is now called amplitude modulation, oscillating current and voltage, but which he referred to as undulating current. The exact same day, Bell is filing for a patent. So he is going, because again, it's not like he can call it in. So that had to be weird. Like, oh, hey, Alexander, what are you doing here? Oh, Elijah. Oh, I'm here filing a patent for my telephone. Me too. Well, can I see your notes? No, it's my patent. Like, do you know how fucking ridiculous this shit is? This is just, and the thing is, this is one of those stories that kids have been doing reports on forever in school. And what you're supposed to do is just regurgitate this narrative back to the teacher. You're not supposed to say, hey teacher, doesn't this seem like it's kind of weird? Does any of this seem like it makes sense? February 19th, 1876, Gray is notified by the U.S. Patent Office of an interference between his caveat and Bell's patent application. Gray decides to abandon his caveat. I mean, again, is the U.S. Patent Office sending a representative to him? I mean, although I guess he probably has a telephone. What? This is 5 days later. March 7th, Bell's U.S. patent, 174,465. So now, April of 75, we had patent number 161,739. By March of 76, so just under a year it jumps up to 174,400. So 13,000 more patents were filed in that previous year. 13,000 patents. $35, $36 patents per day. From well, it's not even a year. So actually, it's 330. We'll say 330 fucking days. So it's basically 39 patents per day the patent office is handling back then. Just in the months between April of 1875 to April of 1876. 39 patents every single day without any breaks, without any holidays, without any Sundays and Saturdays, and you know that's just not true. You know they're not working on the weekends. So then you can say, let's see, it wouldn't be 52, it would be 48. So it would be take out another 100 days basically. So now you're talking about 230. So that's on the average of 56 patents per fucking day. That's without holidays now. You're not going to even include the holidays. Look at my numbers. My numbers are just falling. I've lost 3 likes in the last 5 minutes. What's happening? People are watching this video and going, man, this sure is informative. What he's saying is really fucking kind of, eye-opening. I don't like it. I did like this video, but now I'm going to take the like away. Do you think it's possible that from 1875 March to April of from April of 1875 to March of 1876, the U.S. Patent Office is processing 56 patents per day? And again, you got to take out holidays, so it's probably more like 60 patents per day. 60 patents per day that have to be done in person. I mean, I guess a lot of those could be mailed in, I guess. But, be kind of worried to send my patent through the mail with the mail system what it was back then. Don't you think that would be a little... Would you want to do that in person? This is just bullshit. 56 or 60 patents per fucking day. Come on, people. At some point, you have to realize, we're being lied to, and it goes all the way back. And it's really, really easy to prove using their narrative and just basic common sense. Improved technology is granted covering the method of and apparatus for transmitting vocal and other sounds telegraphically by causing electrical undulations similar in form to the vibrations of the air accompanying the said vocal or other sound. What? Are they speaking of transmissions? Sort of. It sounds like the similar to the vibrations of the air accompanying the said vocal or other sound, causing electrical undulations. March 10th, 1876, the first successful telephone transmission of clear speech using a liquid transmitter. When Bell spoke into his device, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." And Watson heard each word distinctly. What? I mean, was that in like? You sure it wasn't from the other room? On January 30th, 1877, this technology is progressing at light speed. Bell's patent number 186,787. So now we're going another 12,000 patents from March of 76 to January of 77. March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. I mean, I guess including the month, it's another 11 months. So if you include the full, because it is March 10th to January 30th. So that's 11, another 11 months where, you have Christmas and all that. So there's going to be longer holidays. Well, it's always going to have the same because we're talking about 11 months. So, but this 11 months, no, that's not it. But still, like, we're talking about 12. So we're talking about another basically 56. For almost 2 years straight, they're patenting about 60 patents. They're handling about 60 patents every day. It's like I don't mean to. It's not even my intended purpose when I'm doing it. But I always seem to stumble across these anomalies, these weird little pieces of the puzzle that, again, it's unintended, but I'll be goddamned if this doesn't blow all of this to bits. Bell's patent 186,787 is granted for an electromagnetic telephone using permanent magnets, iron diaphragms, and a call bell. April 27th, 1877, Thomas Edison files a patent application for a carbon graphite transmitter. It was published as number 474,230th on May 3rd, 1892. So, from April... Okay, so 1892 in January 1877, so that's 5 years. In 5 years, again, we take off weekends. So you're talking about basically 2 times 50. You're talking about like 110 days. So we'll say 250 days minus holidays, which again, we won't even include holidays. So minus, so that would be 5 years of 250. That's 1,200, or yeah, that's 12. We'll say 1,250 days. And we're talking about roughly 300,000. So 300,000 divided by, what did I say, 1,250? That's 240 patents every fucking day. And again, it's going to be a lot higher than that because of holidays. I just took off weekends. It's probably, take government holidays and shit, You're 240, you're probably talking closer to like 275 maybe when you include all those holidays. Did I get it wrong? Oh, right. You are right. 15 years. My bad. I was thinking it was 18. So 15 years. My bad. So 15 years 15 years is going to be, well, 15 times 250 is 370 or 3,750. Okay, so 300,000 divided by 3,750. Yeah, that drops it way down to just 80. That's just 80. 80 patents per day. And again, probably closer to 100 once you put holiday, you take the holidays off too. 15 years, every day that they're working, they're processing 80 patents. That's 10 patents every hour. That's one patent every 6 minutes. They're processing a patent every 6 minutes for 15 fucking years. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? That is unbelievable. Right? No, I already addressed it. I thought it was 1882. My bad. So when you get past the simple mistake, yep, it's not as significant as 240, but one every 6 minutes for 15 years, that's not possible. That's if they work 8 hours a day. And again, these are guys working in the patent office that will work their 8 hours a day and then get on their horse that's been parked in the fucking horse parking lot all day, ride their horse home to their thatch roof house where their wife better have their fucking meal made. Like, we're not talking about a wide range of communication and electrical, electrification everywhere. That shit is random as fuck. It's not nearly as much as you think. And if you're not adult enough, if you're so obsessed with the whatever you're doing here that you can't admit that claiming that the patent office processed one patent every 6 minutes for 15 years straight without missing a fucking beat, you're dumb as shit. I can't even begin to entertain your stupidity. That just, like, you being obsessed and mad and all that with me shouldn't override common sense like that. And as a normal person, that takes away from the impressive nature of the patents if that's how quickly it's happening. But again, this is like this incredible boom period, I guess, because are patents happening like that to this day? Is the patent office still to this day processing one patent every 6 minutes? It actually should be a lot more, right? It's doable, bro. No, one department, blah, blah. Yep, that's what it makes more sense. It makes more sense. Yep, it's doable. Every 6 minutes, somebody is presenting an invention to the system because, that's doable. Dude, you're fucking nuts. And that's being generous. Remember, that's not accounting for all of the variables exactly. Chubby. From 1877 to 1892, the U.S. Patent Office, the the number of patents increased 300,000, around 300,000, which works out to about one patent every 6 minutes for 15 years straight without missing a beat. You think that's possible?
That's a lot of patents.
I mean, think about just trying to explain the most complicated things. They're just, and somebody said, well, dude, there's more than one patent office. That's saying that people are coming up with inventions so frequently that they're getting patents once every 6 minutes? No, not fucking possible. And that's the narrative you're supposed to have. After 15 years because of litigation, Edison was granted patent 22,222, 390 for carbon granule transmitters in 1879. I mean, that's amazing. That is just amazing. And I'm done. I can't do anymore. I'm fucking spent. I didn't even mean to get here, man. I was not trying to get to fucking... I was trying to look up some Jewish stuff. And instead we started talking about telephones and unbelievable bullshit. Forget about the processing is every single person an inventor. Right. I mean, it's fucking insane. What are we talking about? How does this even work? And again, it all has to be done in person. The patent offices would just be packed with people to be able to accommodate one every 6 minutes. Because, as many patent offices as there would be, there would still have to be multiple people in there every day. Every single office would have to have multiple people. But here, you got to check this out. Here, you got to check this out. We're not talking about the communications network like that. You have to demonstrate your shit to the people for you to get the patent. You can't send them the PDF and be like, all right, check it out. No, it doesn't work that way. Not to mention, what were all the caveats? How many of those were put through at that time? That's just fucking crazy. Anyway, go check out the links in the description. Get your free download, www.the-bilderberg-group.com. You're probably going to get another new song or two in the next couple days, or today, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully today. That'd be really cool. He said he was going to, so we'll see what happens. You guys have yourself a great day. Go check out all the links in the description. It's just nothing but receipts. It's receipts and receipts and receipts, and it's the truth. I don't know what else to say. It's the fucking truth. Go check it out. Have yourself a great day. Pedophiles, you kill yourself. I gotta wait so it doesn't cut that last bit off.